with a common denominator.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Let's talk about something important. Put that coffee down.
I'm not here to waste your time.
Where else you gonna have this much fun?
You the man.
Todd father.
Show me the money.
What I've been doing, had to triple my bag. Had to triple my bag. Wow. Had to triple my bag. Wow. Had to triple my bag. Yeah. Had to triple my bag.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's no trick to make a lot of money. All you want is to make a lot of money.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Duo live show here at Learn Crypto, your one-stop shop for crypto and stock technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and news. This is kind of an impromptu live here. As you can see, I got the vacuum in the background. I was cleaning up, but the Todd Butterfield, the man with the plan, taking us all to Lambo land, hit me up and said, hey, we should go live. I looked at the charts, and now I know why. What is going on today?
All right, we got Bitcoin up a minor 6,007%. We were calling for that low yesterday, so just want to charts, talk about why we was bullish yesterday and possibly what's in the cards here in the next week or two.
Yeah, I mean, essentially sold Bitcoin higher, sold Ethereum higher, Solana higher, BNB higher, coin stock higher, avoided the MicroStrategy drop down, and had some cash. And we let things digest. They dumped harder than I expected and got all the way down even below your targets until you started to pull the trigger, buying back Ethereum, buying back 66% of your Bitcoin, and saying yesterday at $84,000, if you had a gun to your head, would you buy or would you sell? You said you'd be a buyer of Bitcoin at $84,000. We know that was the exact low within $100, and now we bounced over $92,000 Bitcoin right here, right now.
You know, it's like I said, we'll go over the charts here after you do a little bit of news.
Yeah, throw it over here to CoinGecko. We'll see what's going on here. Bitcoin, the past 7 days, up 5.3%. A terrible, abysmal October and November. But what will happen this December? Well, it started off terrible because there was a FUD about MicroStrategy needing to sell Bitcoin. You had Japan raising their interest rates. You had a hack by Urine Finance. People didn't know how many millions would be dumped onto the market. And then subsequently, we have seen a bounce from those FUD attacks. Now we've seen positive news out of Bank of America and others, Vanguard, and it has to do with institutional money having access to get into Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum is lagging Bitcoin here, only up 2.8%, but up 10.4% today, trying to catch up. It is back above $3,000. BNB up 3% on the week. Solana up 2.7%. Now, the biggest losers, a stark difference to what we've been seeing. Zcash, the past 7 days, down 31.7%, dragging the entire privacy sector. Zcash hit a high of $800, but on the recent sell-off went as low as $300 and back to $340. We see Aster, the darling of derivatives for BNB and CZ, back down to the dollar mark. We have never once bought Aster. We have just told you that you should sell or fade it when it was $2.25. It fell as low as like 80 cents and is sitting here at $1. So we avoided a massacre there. At some point, that probably is an asset to own, but it is very interesting that it is one of the worst performers the past 7 days, down 13%. And then you have KCS and KuCoin shares. This is the exchange token for KuCoin itself. Once one of the largest altcoin exchanges, now it's kind of a middle tier with its token down 12.4%. Biggest winners before we hand it off to Todd. Sky up 31%. Pump Fund making a resurgence up 17.9%. That probably means that Solana is going to catch a bid. And then we have Quant QNT up 14%. A well-known Pulse chain individual is talking about Quant and QNT. This is an old school project that is starting to get some new hype due to their new relationships, partnerships, and integrations. Caspa, Sui, Aave, and others. So to me, Todd, it looks like the biggest bouncers here are like multi-cycle crypto assets, like large caps that are here the second cycle around are starting to do well. Maybe that means we're kind of getting away from the Bitcoin season. Bitcoin actually isn't dead, and we're going to start to get into large cap season with Ethereum and some of these names leading the way so we can have a true euphoric crypto market cycle.
I would say we can get something going here. Did you mention Pengu up 30%? I think that one probably made a low yesterday as well. So Let's jump in the charts here. I'm going to quit showing this chart because this shows the distribution schematic that played up there at 126,000. I think we can probably put that to rest. The low down there at 82,400 and yesterday's 85,000 low. I think that's the start of some type of uptrend. So that's what we want to talk about. You can see here, let's slide into, I want to show that bullish divergence we had yesterday. Because now, as you can see here, I show the purple 5 waves up. I showed that into Saturday and Sunday, which called for an ABC pullback to around 86,300 would have been first support. So as we fell through that yesterday, I wasn't really concerned. We ended up getting deeper. We got below that 84,000. But you can see here I had these green arrows because volume continued to go to new lows while price was, about 4,000 above the low, 3,000. That was a bullish divergence. Technometer, I think I registered it around 39.7 at one point yesterday. Because what happens if you slide in here, and let's go to the 15-minute chart. I'm going to show this a little bit better. Let's zoom in on the 15-minute. Actually, let's see if the 10-minute will work because that'll show my indicators much more how I want. Then let's bring up that volume. The OP is a 5-minute read on volume. And you can see here what I was showing yesterday. As Bitcoin put 5 waves up, which again, if you like in the Elliott way, which I do use to confirm my Wyckoff once in a while in the crypto, you can see really volume was sideways. So somebody was strongly buying Bitcoin on that rally from 82,000 up to 93,000. And then on the ABC pullback, you had major sell volume coming in, major sell volume yesterday. As you can see, blue line would go to major new lows while Bitcoin is 3,500 above the low. So they're telling me that someone had been buying during this whole, since, the 20th, 22nd. And probably that's a 1-2 and we're ready for a wave 3 up. Or worst case, this was 5 waves up for an A, ABC down for a B, and now we're doing 5 waves up again. So that would mean, if we go back to the daily chart, let's zoom in on that a little bit. Then we're talking back here. And then once again, the rally is a 1-2. We're ready for a 3-4-5, which just eyeballing it, says we go probably back to that $110,000 level. If you're bearish, think the 4-year cycle is pointing down, then I presume you're going to call this A up. Yesterday was a B low, and we're going to rally, let's say, to 98,000 to 100. We're going to meet resistance and then turn lower. So I'm guessing at 98 to 100, that's going to be a top on my technometer. The technometer might get up to 50, and I'll call that for an ABC, and then we'll just see, once we sell up there, maybe we'll see how the correction looks for a few days to see whether it's the start of a major sell-off to 32,000. I state that number because I think that's 75% down off the highs, which is what Peter Brandt was calling, saying that we've had those, we're going to have another 75% pullback. But if we hold that in 98 or 100, don't have much of a sell-off, then I think we go up to 108, 110. And then from there we have a pullback, etc. So bullish here. Yesterday's low was definitely somebody puking. I'm not sure what that was. It was all the sell volume on MicroStrategy, Japan raising rates, China wanting to block some crypto, etc. So if that low gives away, we've got problems. But for now, everything looks much higher. Ethereum, same type of thing. Bought down there at 27.30, the day of the low. We did check that level yesterday. but all looks good there. You did have a new low on the volume, and Ethereum price did make a higher low, not as pronounced as Bitcoin, but definitely looks good. And then, well, look at BNB and some of these. BNB came down to the 800 level. Quick 10% rally. Track is one that I've mentioned. Still looking pretty good. Yesterday was an extreme oversold reading. And today we're up 9.19%. I think that one still can try to get things going. And we'll come back here in a little bit and talk about some of the stocks.
Nice. Yeah, and we talk about some of the bullish news things that have let off the low. You still have Thomas Lee over here on my Twitter talking about how he thinks that Bitcoin hits a new all-time high in January of 2026. If that was to happen, then I think you have to admit that the 4-year halving cyclists are incorrect. And that's what's going to happen. We knew there was going to be this tug of war between 4-year cyclist and 5-year business cycle, because that's what the ISM is saying, is that the business cycle is extending for a year, 5th year rather than 4 years like it has historically. And previous 3 cycles have topped when the ISM topped. Right now, ISM's at like 48, and the top would probably be somewhere between 55 to 68. Long way to go if you're looking at the ISM lineup of previous Bitcoin cycles. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, like Todd said, it's very important to get to those higher levels to start to look for that to even be a possibility. And it needs to happen over the next couple months as well. If we scroll up, the other bullish news that we did see was that Vanguard, right at the lows, $11 trillion Vanguard to allow clients to access cryptocurrency ETFs and funds starting tomorrow. That would be today. That began. So I put a tweet out and said, I'm really not sure what kind of inflows you get from Vanguard during red candles, but as soon as there is green candles, you're going to see a massive influx and onslaught of institutional money. Everybody FOMOs, guys, and now there is another outlet to do that with Vanguard. And then probably some of the kind of most ironic news is that Bank of America officially recommends clients put up to 4% of their portfolio in Bitcoin and crypto. This is something that me and Todd have been saying would be coming, a 1 to 5% allocation in Bitcoin and crypto since 2017. Todd, I think you even had Bank of America shut down one of your bank accounts at some point because of crypto. And now here they are saying to put 4% of your portfolio. We always said 1 to 5. They're saying 4% of your portfolio must be in Bitcoin and crypto if you're a banking agent of Bank of America.
Exactly. So we shall see. Yeah, they shut us down, and I think it was Coinbase deposits coming in. They didn't like the looks of those.
Grayscale also sides on the side of Thomas Lee. Grayscale sees Bitcoin hitting new highs in 2026 and rejects the cycle theory. Grayscale dismisses Bitcoin's 4-year cycle theory, predicting new highs in 2026, despite the strategy's $1.44 billion reserve decision triggering institutional concerns. Grayscale Research challenges the widespread belief in Bitcoin's 4-year cycle theory, arguing crypto likely reach new highs in 2026, despite the recent 30% drawdown since early October. Guys, if this happens, remember who was one of the earliest people to be on that? That was me. I called $100,000 Bitcoin in 2024. I said $244,000 Bitcoin by end of 2025. But as this cycle progressed, I said, you know what? It doesn't look like we're going to have a 4-year cycle. So the top's not actually going to be in 2025. It's going to be in 2026. And I see an upside target of Bitcoin of 244,000. And if Ethereum gets to the historical trends that it has been to in Bitcoin, that will lead to a $22,035 Ethereum. So maybe those seem a little crazy, but if you're telling me that we're not on a 4-year cycle, this is a normal 30% drawdown during a bull structure, and we have not gone parabolic yet. If you're telling me we get a parabolic move, there's no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin can do a 2x of its previous high of 126,000, and then Ethereum would outperform Bitcoin. So we'll see how that follows, but it sure seems like more and more people are coming over to my side here. With Thomas Lee's been on it for quite a while. Rawls been on it for quite a while, but now we see Grayscale. You see others kind of talking about, hey, maybe this isn't a 4-year business cycle, and it's a 5-year cycle, and had nothing to do with the Bitcoin halving. It had everything to do with liquidity and the ISM.
I'm going to take over the charts here for a minute and go into the stocks real quick. This is why I turned really bullish on stocks and Bitcoin on the 20th, 21st. I had been showing this. I did a video of showing why these 5th waves had no volume, etc. But for some reason, Thursday afternoon, I had a light go off, and I changed my account to this red ABC, which is extremely bullish, showing volume sell-off from September 22nd down to the lows on November 20th. And I felt like if that low held the next morning, and we ride out of here, that would be an ABC complete for a green wave 4. Again, I don't normally put Elliott Wave on much stocks, but I've been watching Elliott Wave count this. I've tried to count it, and it kind of came together that this is what I thought the count was. And then I was getting friendly on Bitcoin, so I thought the sentiment on everything was ready to change. It did. That is a major low. I think that is a wave 4. I think we go to new highs. Now you can see we're not far from new highs, so really a new high would make this chart complete by Elliott Wave. But as I said on the 20th, 21st, I really think it's going to extend. Fifth waves extend. The wave 3 was huge, as you can see here, the green wave 3. So I really think what's happening here, we've completed the first wave up of this maybe, and maybe we come down here for 2 or 3 days, scare everybody on stocks. Maybe Bitcoin slows up here, comes back down a little bit, not below that 84. And then, then we have still a couple more months straight up in stocks and Bitcoin up. So somehow we get 5 waves up here. I think it's too early to be worried about that. We're headed higher, and we trail sell stops below us and let this thing work higher. So pro traders at wyckoffsmi.com to go over more stock stuff. Let me see any stocks here. ACNT, I'm still long that one. That one's had a big run. You can see I mark a lot of these bullish divergences. ACNT had it. AGCO is, I think, just getting started, pulling back today, but I think AGCO will work higher, but that's not an exciting name. Amgen still higher. BHE, I think one that could come alive here. Again, it's got the same type of selling pressure while price works higher with a jump and a backup. I still like Boot. CLB is one that I think could come alive here with a jump and a backup. As you know, I like the oil area. ENB, I think, looks pretty good here. I still like NBR. I still like XLE. Still long Nutra. That one's been a big winner. That one had the same type of thing Bitcoin had. Sell volume coming in, price holding. Now it goes quickly higher. GH is a double. That one still looks like I'm going to hold that. Merck has had a big run from 83 to 101. Topped out there 106 the other day, but I think that one will probably catch itself. So that's some of the stocks I think will still work higher. I think momentum stocks will catch a bid here also and work higher. These are some of the momentum names we're watching. But TLT, I've showed that. I think TLT probably topped. I mentioned that in my week in review. That one got slapped the last couple days. I think the high's in there. Somehow I think we get higher rates. I don't know how that works into the picture here with the Fed probably lowering. But there's a lot of cross currents. Hard to trade one market against another. And so I still see higher rates, higher stocks, higher crypto. Tesla looks probably good here to go higher. I've been talking about that. That had a spring down there at 390 that I mentioned in the Discord. So that's all I got on stocks. Let's go back to Nick and I.
Yeah, over here on Twitter, it says just in, the Federal Reserve officially ended quantitative tightening for the first time in quite a while. They have tightened too long, in my opinion, and that has been a really drag on liquidity available in the markets for risk-on assets, of which Bitcoin and crypto is the ones that we are actively participating in. And actually, the Fed just injected $13.5 billion into the market as an overnight repo operation. This is one of the biggest liquidity injections since COVID, and exceeded any single overnight repo since during the dot-com era. Remember what happened when we had the crisis of COVID and then the liquidity injection came to the markets? Well, asset prices went much higher, and your Bitcoin, Ethereum went on a multi-month run that sent things going 5, 10, 20, and 30x. Things are lining up to do very similar things. And I know that Todd looks at some of those charts and he can't make sense of it because it looks like the interest rates should be going higher. But Polymarket has switched the other way. Before it was 54% chance of no change. Now, as of today, a 92% chance of a 25 basis point cut, only an 8% no change, and a 1% chance at a 50 basis point cut. They have also hinted at potentially cutting rates further January 27 of 2026. 2026, March 17th and April 28th, leading into the new dovish Fed chair and Bitcoin enthusiast that would be taking over in May of 2026. So, whatever way you slice it, I believe that Bitcoin is going to need liquidity in order to get higher. And it looks like we're going to get more liquidity, quantitative easing, lower interest rates, and stimulus checks from Trump as we head into midterms in 2026. This is why I am having some hopium that the bull market is still intact and we are going longer. We are going higher for longer when it comes to the cryptocurrency markets and crypto-related stocks such as SBET, Bitminer, MicroStrategy, and Coinbase.
I'm going to go into a few chat requests here real quick. ADA, I kept talking about maybe a low down there at 40. We tagged a new low yesterday. I do think that's still possibly a big wave forward. We're having a big day today, back to 44. So I think ADA can still try to work higher here. RIVN. Yannick made 240% on Ethereum. Nice trade. Glad you can make some money off that call yesterday. Here's Rivian. I know last time I looked at this, I said that was probably a sign of strength in a LPS. So that one, with my idea that Tesla probably looks good here to lead. I think Rivian stays strong as well. And with the idea stocks are rallying for a few more months, that one's got to look still good. LAC, Lithium Americas, that one trying to dig out of here. Not much to add there. I mean, it came back to what was resistance, so not a favorite one, but that one ought to stay good. SYM did get slapped today. I didn't think that would get hit quite so hard today. Symbiotic, that one has been scalped around by the momentum signals, but I guess I would think that one holds here. I probably would have been a buyer when it came to the low there at 69, so I think that one will catch itself. But that's a pretty big sell-off for today, obviously. CYPH, not much to add there. I mean, that was came out of that jump and a backup clear down there at 40 cents. Not much to add because that's been a high flyer. I would think anything below $1.36 would have been okay to buy yesterday. So again, I think that would catch itself, but that's a tough one. AAL, one more. American Airlines. Breaking out today. I know some of these are looking better for momentum. Higher oil prices. I'm not sure how that helps the airlines, which has kept me from chasing this one. And UAL. But that chart looks good. So I would stay behind that momentum and let AAL run higher.
And if you guys have been tuning into the live shows and our content, you know that we were really looking for Bitcoin to get above 93 to 95,000 and Ethereum above 3,100 to feel comfy. Those are the exact levels we got to, but got quickly rejected on Friday. So we never got a close above those levels, and that's where we had the sharp sell-off, and the indicators got favorable again that kept Todd bullish and kept us long in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets. So, you know, the same numbers still apply in my eyes. I really want to see Ethereum get above and close above 3,100. I want to see Bitcoin get into the 93 to 95 range and close up there. And I'll start to feel a little more comfortable that we can continue to stair step higher, and that those lows we put in at 80,000 and 84,000 are kind of the final low before this next potential move higher.
I guess for me to wrap up kind of is, again, stocks could slow up here. We're back at near the high, so it'd be a good place for the bears to try to take a stand again. So maybe we roll over for a day or two here and bring in a little bit of stock weakness. I'd be a buyer on that. Maybe that brings crypto down a little bit, but I think crypto is washed out after yesterday. So hopefully it can hold up here if stocks pull back for a day or two. But then I expect everything to continue to fresh new highs. And then we'll play that new high rally and see how, if it can last, you know, end of year, early next quarter, 26, we'll see. So, because that wave 5 could expand, it could last for, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. But I wouldn't really expect that, but we'll see what happens as we proceed higher.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about strategy in the last live show, and then we had that spring where the fudge storm happened yesterday. 155 a share, back up to 186. And I listened into their full 25-minute little quarterly report, and essentially everything's on track. And what's crazy here is I think you start to get a lot of momentum and a flywheel effect in crypto. If Bitcoin can get above $95,000 by the end of 2025, that doesn't take that much. Remember, Bitcoin's up $6,000 today. It takes one more day like today, and you're at like $97,000. If it gets above 95,000, MicroStrategy is back in the green for the entire year when it comes to their business and their Bitcoin holdings. That takes the FUD, turns it into a big positive for year end of 2025 and leading into 2026 that many people are still bullish, and crypto potentially has a lot of room to the upside with liquidity coming into the open market. So 95,000, I know we've been talking about it for various reasons. I set a range to feel comfortable. Todd has an upside range to see if it's going to lead us to 110, but also MicroStrategy still around that 95,000 level, puts them in green for the year and is going to create a lot of morale and momentum around MicroStrategy, which puts morale, momentum, and liquidity back onto Bitcoin.
Below me is a Zcash chart, and all I can really add there is yesterday we were down to 38.2 or so on my technometer. 38's a buy, so that is the most oversold it's been in all year. So I guess I would think surely somewhere here you get a pretty solid bounce and it starts to join the overall crypto market higher.
Yeah, we'll see, because the cash kind of ran away from everybody. So it'll be interesting to see if it wants to follow crypto higher, if crypto goes higher here. And if the privacy narrative is still alive, more people are starting to create privacy optionality features, privacy platforms, and understanding that privacy really matters. And the last time we saw this was all the way back in like 2017 when everybody was building privacy. Then we saw under the Biden administration that as they were trying to kill crypto, they targeted the privacy sector dramatically and everything went to near zero and got delisted from all centralized exchanges. But now under the new regulatory framework, privacy is okay. Privacy is coming back with a vengeance. And privacy is needed now more than ever. That now, we used to talk about no privacy in China, no privacy in Russia, no privacy in North Korea. But now there's a lot of privacy fears going on in the EU and many of the European countries, which is crazy to think of because that is the Western civilization falling apart. Freedom of speech, freedom of privacy no longer exists. And privacy in blockchain, privacy in crypto, and privacy in your money can stay true here now that it does have regulatory clarity. And it is very much needed now more than ever.
Let me run a disclaimer since we do manage money.
There is a high degree of risk involved in trading stocks and cryptocurrencies. Our thoughts and ideas are for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your personal advisor or do your own research. Past results are not indicative of future returns.
All right, I think that's all I got. Do your own research. We do try to provide some help here, though, so not individual advice, but patreon.com/learncrypto.
That's what I was going to say. Join us. Check patreon.com/learncrypto, or it's in the chat box. We did buy SharpLink Gaming at $9. I gave a secondary buy at $9.50. It's back up to $10.30. Same applies to BMNR. We bought the original low at $31. Gave a secondary buy at $28.50. It's up to $32.58. And what's crazy about that is we kind of round tripped a lot of the trade, thinking Ethereum wasn't going to get hit as hard as it did. But I'm fine with it. I'm still long-term on those assets. Those MNAVs, Bitmine, the biggest one with Thomas Lee, Kathy Woods, and everybody else on board, MNAV now at 0.79. SharpLink Gaming, the co-founder of Ethereum, Joe Lubin, MNAV at 0.85. Well, Nick, that's not good because they can't raise more funds. That's true. But if you believe that Ethereum is very oversold and is going to rip and roar, that MNAV will figure itself out as the premium, the discount will flip into a premium and the stock price will catch up to Ethereum price. Remember, these guys are also staking and compounding. They're also buying back when they can actually raise funds. And I think you're at a very discounted price. Although price on both those assets is still higher than both our buys, I still think that those are the cornerstones of what will be the DATs that succeed. And I think Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin is a reality. Ethereum passive income outperforming Bitcoin is a reality. And Bitmine and SharpLink Gaming are going to be triple-digit stock prices, in my opinion. Maybe that's crazy to think about now. That's like a 10x on one and a 5x on the other. But I really, truly believe that's going to happen, especially if Ethereum, eclipses the $7,000 to $10,000 per Ethereum price range.
What's up, Final Curse? We are live over on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. So I think most viewers now are coming through Twitter, seems like. Definitely some at Facebook as well. Then everybody here on YouTube that can actually talk to us a little easier. That's all I got. I could run a 1-minute commercial and close it down if you're ready to do that, Nick, and then we'll be here tomorrow if we get any real action.
Yeah, I think I'm good with that. Just make sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button for your daily updates on crypto and stock technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and news right here at Learn Crypto.
All right, we'll see you.
Do you personally invest or trade stocks? Then you'll want to gain access to our private Discord channel. By subscribing to our pro traders at wyckoffsmi.com, you'll receive individual stock suggestions based upon the Wyckoff method, review possible trade setups, as well as receive emails when any trade suggestions are given. But if you're too busy to manage your own stock portfolio, consider our private client group at our registered investment advisor, Black Bay Capital Advisors. You'll get the personal touch while we manage your stock portfolio for you through the trusted custodian, Charles Schwab. For an annual fee, you'll have more time to enjoy life while we focus on growing your portfolio. We'll be on the same side of the table, working to help you secure your long-term financial goals.